Hello, grade 12. Welcome back to the channel, Science Therapy, hosted by the one and only science therapist, Uabudiwa Sos Ugobela Wemets. And without any further ado, let's look at this question that we have here. Okay, so we have question 6 still on financial maths. 6.1 says 12,000 was invested in a fund that paid interest at M% per annum compounded quarterly. After 24 months, the value of the investment was 13,459, right? Then they say determine the value of M, which is your interest rate. Okay, now, in order to solve this question, what we need to observe is this. This is a lump sum here that was just put into a savings account or that fund, and then it was left there for that period, and then it just grew. No monthly deposits, no quarterly deposits, no regular payments. So this is just a lump sum left alone to grow. So that means we go for the classic formula, which is your compound formula. A is equals to P 1 plus I to the exponent of n. Right. Note that we are told that this is compounded quarterly, but then here we are given in terms of months. So that means we must find how many quarters are in 24 months. Now you will realize that 24 months is similar to 2 years, right? Now how many quarters are in a year? We have 4, because remember a quarter is 3 months, right? So a period of 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, like your terms, right? The terms in which you go to school. So 1 year has 4 terms, 2 years has a total of 8 terms, right? So that's 8 quarters. So 2 times 4, that's 8 quarters, which is the same as you would say 24 divided by 3, because a quarter is 3 months, and then you'd still have your 8 quarters. So A is 13,459, which is the accumulated amount after the investment period. And then your P is the money that was invested into the fund. And then we have 1 plus the interest rate. That's what we are looking for, but then compounded quarterly means I have to have I over 4. And then here for N, we have 24 months, which is, we have already established that it's 8 quarters. So we're going to have 8 here, right? Now to solve this, we already know now 12,000 both sides. Divide, and then we have the 1 plus I over 4 to the exponent of 8 is equals to 13,459 over 12,000. And then to get rid of the 8 here, root 8, and then 1 plus I over 4. You have your solution from here. So I'll just write all of this, so that I just press my calculator all at once. Then I have I over 4. I will have the root 8, 13,459 over 12,000, and then minus 1, right? So if I punch all that into my calculator, all of this, I will have 0.0144, which I will not write all the decimals, and then now cross multiplied with the 4, left I is equals to 0.0577, which I will not write all the decimals again, multiplied by 100, so that I now get the interest. So this will give me my M, which is what I'm trying to calculate. So that's 5.78%, right? Rounded off to 2 decimal places. So excuse my skewed handwriting there, but I hope all this makes sense. Okay, so for 4 marks, that's what you were supposed to do. Okay, now 6.2 says on 31 January 2022, Tino deposited 1,000 in an account that paid interest at 7.5% per annum compounded monthly. He continued depositing 1,000 on the last day of every month. He will make the last deposit on 31 December 2022. So notice that's 31 January and 31 December. Now those are your calendar months. exactly 12 months. Now they're saying, will Tino have sufficient funds? Sufficient means enough. So will Tino have enough funds in the account on 1 January 2023 to buy a computer that cost 13,000? So 1 January 2023 is a month after from that, and then that cost 13,000. Justify your answer by means of an appropriate calculation. Note that the investment was from 31 January to 31 December, right? So the final day of 2022. Okay, so now from reading this statement, we can establish that Tino was saving up for the computer, or to buy a computer, right? So if these are savings, that means he plans to accumulate a certain amount of money in the future, right? So note the statement. He's planning, he's saving up the money so that he accumulates a certain amount of money after the investment. So that means that's future value, obviously, because the money that he plans to save up is not there yet. It will be there after the investment period. Then there goes our future value. Then we have our X payments, which is 1,000, our monthly deposits, 1 plus the interest, that's 7.5%, which we need to divide by 100, 0.075 over 12, and then to the exponent of what? So from 31 January to 31 December, we said that's 12 months exactly, over 0.075 over 12. So this was a pretty straightforward question. All you have to do is just punch all that into your calculator. You find your value. It's 12,421.22, right? So now you have to make a conclusion, which is your final mark. So 3 marks for all of this formula substitution correct answer. And now the 4th mark is you having to make your conclusion. Will he be able to buy the computer or not? Will he have sufficient funds for the computer or not? And then obviously looking at the money that he accumulates versus the cost of the computer, we can pretty much tell that no, he will not be able to buy the computer. He will not have sufficient funds. So let's say he will not have sufficient funds. So why? He's looking for 13,000, but it only has 12,421.22, which is less than the 13,000. So you can offer that as a reason. No, he will not have sufficient funds because the money that he accumulates in the future after 12 months is still less than the money needed to buy the computer. Okay, so 6.3 says Thabo plans to buy a car that cost 250,000. He will pay a deposit of 15% and take out a loan for the balance. The interest on the loan is 13% per annum compounded monthly. Now for 1 mark, they say calculate the value of the loan. Now note this, the car costs 250,000. So this is 100% the cost of the car. Now he is able to pay 15% from his own pocket and is only looking for a loan for the balance. What do they mean by the balance? The money that's left after he is able to pay the 15% from his own pocket, right? So obviously, if he's able to pay 15%, that means the balance that he is looking for at the bank is 85% of the cash price of the car, right? So to calculate that, you only need to say 250,000 multiplied by 85 over 100. So this is the money that it goes out and borrows from the bank, right? So we have a value of 212 and then 500. Now, if you are not comfortable with this, still you can just calculate the 15% first, which is a bit longer, but then just go with whatever that you are comfortable with. So 35,500, and then obviously you then have to take this amount here and subtract it from the cash price so that you find what he borrows from the bank, which is exactly 212,500. So whether you are comfortable with just this straightforward approach or that one, that is totally up to you. Okay, so we have 6.3.2. It says the first repayment will be made 6 months after the loan has been granted, right? So 6 months after the loan has been granted. Note this, right? So we have month 1. So let's say T1, T2, T3, T4, T5, T6. Now suppose the T1 here represents the end of the month, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it makes a payment here. So how many payments does Thabo miss? So this is one thing that I want you to understand, which is why I'm showing you that timeline. So he makes the deposit on the 6th month, at the end of the 6th month. So that means he misses 5 monthly payments, because remember, when you are paying off a loan, you start the month after you have taken the loan. So you cannot pay the loan immediately after you have taken the loan. You start paying the loan a month after you have taken the loan. So that means in those 6 months here, he actually misses 5 payments. And then on the 6th on the 6th month where he's supposed to pay, that's when he starts making the payment. So which leaves him 5 deferred payments. So deferred payments. He has 5 deferred payments. Now, what do we do with deferred payments? Remember, when you go to the bank and you say, I cannot make payments for the first 5 months, the bank will go, okay, that is fine. You can start whenever you are ready. But then this is what you need to understand. We are a business and we just gave you the money that you asked for. So we're not going to pause on the loan. We're still going to charge you interest even though you are not paying, right? So in terms of the bank, the loan is still ongoing, right? So they will charge you a penalty for not having to pay those months. But then they understand that you are not able to make payments as yet. So what will happen is that as you are not making payments, the value of the loan will grow, right? So it will grow in interest. Remember, for the 5 months that you are not making any payments, the value of the loan is accumulating interest, right? So there's interest accumulated on that present value. So which is the first thing that you must always do when you're tackling these questions. The first thing that you always have to do is note that you have to grow the present value, the value of the loan. So we had the 212,500, which needs to be grown for the 5 months in which is not making any payments. So 0.13, still in the same interest rate. And then now for how many months? 5 months. So that means by the time he decides to make payments, he no longer has a value of the loan of 212,500, but now the value of his loan is 224,262.53. So this is the present value that he'll be starting with when now he's ready to make payments. So you now get how the bank works. So remember, for loans, we always use the present value formula because we are dealing with money that is already given to the client. So remember, already this money here, 212,500, is in the hands of Thabo, and probably by now Thabo has bought the car and is now driving the car. So we have x 1 minus 1 plus I to the exponent of negative n over I. And then we go ahead, substitute our present value now is the one that has grown interest and then grown to that amount. And then the x amount, that's what we are looking for. We have 1 minus 1 plus interest is 0.13 over 12. Now the issue of the n here Do not be confused. We know that 6 years is 6 times 12, which will give us 72 months. But then you would be wrong to come here and put 72. Why? Because remember, you need to remember that he did not make any payments for the first 5 months. So already he has paid the penalty for that by virtue of the value of the loan being increased like that. So he is only left with 67 months when by the time he starts on making those monthly deposits. So you need to then say 72 minus the 5 deferred payments there. Then you are left with 67. So we're going to have negative 67 here, and then close your bigger bracket like that over 0.13 over 12. Now you already know how we tackle this one. So whenever we are dealing with this, you need to then say x is equals to, remember, you cross 224,262.53, multiply that by 0.13 over 12. Then you take the rest of this and then put it down here as your numerator. As your denominator, I meant to say, over 12 and then negative 67. Then you close your bracket. Now, this makes your maths neat and clean. So you just punch all this into your calculator. Then you find your X value, your monthly installments will be 4,724.96. So the understanding is that his monthly installments have increased from what they initially discussed at the bank because he has missed some of the payments. So if you miss some of the payments, then this affects your monthly installment. So your monthly installment now has to increase so that you are able to still cover the loan at the stipulated period of time. Right. So that's how you were supposed to go about answering this question. So it was a very interesting question. Make sure that you revisit it, do it on your own, and then when you are done, just come back here and check your answers against mine and try to understand where you are still missing it, and then use that as a way to practice and improve yourself. So with all that being said, please press that thumbs up button if you've enjoyed the lesson and then you found it helpful. And if you've been watching the videos and haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. But most importantly, please share the link with your friends and classmates so that they may also find assistance. Remember, do not be selfish. We are winning as a team.